In this podcast, I would like to make a defence of John Nelms. And yes, I have been very critical of John Nelms. I do think the club has been mismanaged, and he is responsible. I mean, for instance, the poor choices of manager, the lack of communication, and other things too. But at the same time, I don't want the podcast to be always negative, and I do think Dundee fans have a reputation for being negative, and it's not exactly fair, but at the same time, there's some truth to it. And so I want to be positive, and also I was very heartened by the news that Dundee are looking to appoint a head of recruitment. I mean, that's something that we've been needing for years now, and that's the way football's going. And I think one of the reasons why we've been so poor is because managers have had too much power when it came to recruitment. Let's look at, like, for instance, McCann. And even Hartley. I mean, Hartley made some poor decisions when it came to recruitment. And then you look at McIntyre and McPake. I do think that we've given managers too much power. And so I'm very, very happy that they're looking to appoint a head of recruitment. I think it's a very good move, and I think Nelms is probably the one who came up with it, or at least approved it, even if he didn't come up with it. And so, I mean, he does deserve some praise, Nelms. I mean, we have made a profit. We've survived COVID. We came out of it really well, and this new stadium, yes, a lot of the time I think it's never going to happen, but it's in development. It's probably the closest we've ever been to a new stadium, and it looks like Nelms is wanting to take it to the next level. Then again, there have been so many false dawns in the history of Dundee Football Club, and so I mean, he does deserve some praise. The whole foundation thing. The catering, I think the catering has improved. I remember when the catering was terrible, and it's improved. You have to give him credit for that. The catering has improved. I think Guy Boyer is an excellent choice for manager, and so I think he got a good fee for Jack Hendry. I don't like the whole Kamara situation when he went to Rangers, but he did get a good fee for Jack Hendry. I think it broke the record transfer fee, and so and the whole. And you look at the youth development. I think that's one of the areas right now at the club that's actually improving. It's actually, I think the youth development is very promising. You have guys like, Finlay Robertson, and yes, I think last season was a disappointment for him, but at the same time he wasn't getting games, and so they chucked him out on loan. I don't think that was a great idea. I think he needs games in the first team. But he's a talent. Yeah, he's a very skillful player. Then Josh Mulligan was utterly superb. Max Anderson, utterly superb. Harsh and Sharp looked good in goal. He was thrown in at the deep end, and he acquitted himself well. Then you have Josh Mulligan again, looked absolutely amazing. And so we do have young talent. I mean, I think that Luke Graham. I think Arsenal and that are looking at him, and he's recently signed a new deal. I think a professional deal, if I'm remember correctly. And Stephen Wright, who's heading it. I mean, he has a good reputation for youth development. He was at Rangers, I think he did quite well at Rangers. And so Nelms he's responsible, or at least partially responsible for the youth development side of things. So he deserves praise for that. And I've also been quite critical of Gordon Strachan too. I think he had too much power when it came to picking managers. And some of his statements I don't agree with. But at the same time, Nelms helped bring Strachan to Dundee. And Strachan, he was a great football player. I mean, a great football player. And a very, very good manager. Just look at his managerial record. I mean, some disappointments, but overall a really impressive record. Somebody with years and years and years of football knowledge. You look at all his connections he's built up, and he knows his stuff. So having him on board, not just for like a few months, but for the past few years, having him on board, and actually him being able to implement his ideas, at the youth side of things, at youth level, I think that's a great thing. I mean, it's positive when you see in the paper or you see online that so many Dundee young players have been loaned out to various clubs. I mean, it's a good thing. There was a time when Dundee's youth system was a laughing stock. I remember it well, when it seemed like we have no, at the time it seemed like we have nobody coming through. At the time, I can only think of maybe Kyle Benedictus, Craig Forsyth. I think Jamie Reid was. I think he was a bit of a hot shot for a time anyway, and Leighton McIntosh. But other than that, there was a time when we didn't seem to be having like anybody coming through, and I think United were like so far ahead. I think United even took our coaches who were at Dundee. Was Stevie Campbell, and they were light years ahead. Some of the talent that came through the ranks of United. And you just look at Dundee, but that was a few years ago. But I remember that it was a laughing stock. I mean, it was absolute laughing stock. So it's good. It's really positive hearing that now things are a lot better and they're actually performing well. And there's real talent coming through that's attracting interest, and even having players called up to the under-21s. I mean, I think Josh Mulligan, he got called up to the under-21s, and if I remember correctly. It was Harsh and Sharp, I think, got called up. So yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure it was Harsh and Sharp. So yeah, it's really positive. It's really positive, and so Nelms deserves credit. And also, he's not been one of these guys who has not been there long. I mean, he's actually been there a good few years now. And I heard a rumour that he's apparently looking into becoming a British citizen because he's been here that long. And so clearly there's some kind of commitment to the club. And I think he's gotten to know the city really well. And, building partnerships and things. I know it sounds like a cliche, but it seems like he's very much involved with the running of Scottish football. Controversial, yes, the whole missing email thing. That was an absolute disgrace. I think the way it was handled and things. I'm not happy with the way it was done. But he seems to be really involved in the Scottish football and how it's run. So yeah, he deserves credit for that. So yeah, I just wanted this podcast to be a bit more positive. But yeah, you can't deny that some of his decision making has been poor. You can't deny that. The choices of manager, I mean, some of it's very, very poor, a lot of it. And that's an understatement. So yeah, I just wanted to be positive, and I feel guilty about being so critical of him when he has done some good things. So yeah, this whole head of recruitment thing, I think it's a great step. It's the way football is going. We've needed it for years. And at the same time, Guy Boyer still has the final say. And that's important because managers are very unhappy if they don't have much of a say over what goes on, and that's how they end up resigning and things. But yeah, I think the whole point is that the head of recruitment he comes up with players based on criteria, and then the names get passed to Guy Boyer, and he makes the final say over who he wants. I think that's the right way to go about things. I think that's the future. Dundee should have done it years and years ago. And we could have been spared a lot of misery if it happened years ago. Just think of all the duds that McCann signed. Wouldn't have been permitted if this had happened earlier. Then you think of some of Hartley's signings, like the two boys from Inverness, was it Vincent and Williams. Then McIntyre signing a whole new team, and a lot of those players were poor. That's an understatement. And then McPake, I think some of the decisions he made were just poor and uninspiring. I mean, signing was Alex Jubiak, who's just injury prone. And then just like uninspiring players like Killian Sheridan, just totally unimaginative and uninspiring. And he's a journeyman player for a reason. There's a reason that he doesn't last long at a club before he goes to another club. There's a reason behind that. And I think the recruitment's been bad for. And then when Barry Smith was manager, same thing. It was like the players that were signed. It was like, why couldn't we do any better than that? Just uninspiring players. And I know we can't. I'm not suggesting that we should look back and emulate the Benetti era. Like, no, we can't do that ever again, nor should we. And but at the same time, like I do think the recruitment has been terrible. I mean, yes, you get guys like Jack Hendry and you get Glenn Kamara, success stories, and you have lesser success stories like Nathan Ralph. And then how can I forget Greg Stewart, a very, very good player. But let's face it, like most of the players that have been signed have been really, really bad. And so having a head of recruitment, I think, helps mitigate it. And so yeah, I mean, I think it's a good move. And then apparently the club are moving office staff. There was a Gardine, I think it was at the college apparently, and they're going to be training there. Which yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure what to make of that, but yeah, things are, maybe it's a transitional thing until the new stadium is built, if it is ever approved and built, and that's a big if. It might never happen. In fact, a lot of the time I think it's never going to happen, because Dundee fans have been used to so many like false dawns and things, and we're just sick and tired of it. We really are sick and tired of it. It's made us very pessimistic and apathetic. And so things look promising. I need to, obviously, I don't think the players are back from their holidays yet, but so I want to see what Guy Boyer does when they are back from their holidays. I want to see what decisions he makes, and so yeah, things are very promising. I'm more upbeat being a Dundee fan again, and I'm less pessimistic, I'm less apathetic. So yeah, things are looking bright. But then again, I've thought that so many times. During the course of my time being a Dundee fan, I've thought that so many times, and I've been disappointed so many times and let down so many times, and this might be another false dawn. But yeah, I'm just very, very happy with the progress the past few days, and I'm very happy about the managerial appointment of Guy Boyer and Billy Barr. So yeah, here's and I just hope they get somebody good in to be the head of recruitment. I really do hope so. So yeah, things are looking up. So I want to give some praise to John Nelms, because he does put in hard work, obviously, and he's done some good things, some horrible things. I do think the club has been mismanaged. I do think the lack of communication has been an absolute disgrace. But he's done some good things too. I don't want it to be like John Nelms bashing, because that's totally unfair. Because really, it's a mixture of the good and bad. He's not like a disaster. I said that one time, like to someone else, but that's not fair. Really, John Nelms, it's a mixture of the good and the bad. Some bad, like the lack of communication, the ticket prices, the fact that it's not very modern the way it's done, and it's not very efficient the way it's done. Ticketing. You look at the awful recruitment, the large turnover of playing staff. The managerial choices. You just look at that, and you look at that. But at the same time, he's committed. He's been around for a good few years now. He's really involved with Scottish football. The whole stadium development, the fact that the youth side of things has improved a great deal. Because I remember when it was a laughingstock. And I think that Dundee have more variety when it comes to where they train now. Having Gordon Strachan as part of the setup, even though yes, I don't like some of the things he's done, but yeah, I like having Gordon Strachan at the club, even though I do disagree with certain things. There's things like that. The fact that we got up to the Premiership, but of course, sadly, at the same time we're become a yo-yo club, which is not good at all. But yeah, and the foundation initiative, which I really like, the catering. He does deserve some praise. Guy Boyer coming in, the whole head of recruitment thing. He does deserve some praise. The partnership with St John's secondary school. I mean, that's a very promising thing. So yeah, he does deserve some praise. I mean, getting through COVID without any issues. Coming out with a profit. I mean, the whole insurance thing, actually getting that. That's a great thing, because a lot of clubs were worrying about whether they would survive during the height of the COVID pandemic. I remember, 2020, just seeing the stories about clubs could fold and everything and go out of business. But we've come out really well. We've come out really well, and so yeah, he deserves praise for that. So yeah, I do think he has to hold his hands up, but at the same time, he's done some good. You can't deny that. And no, this is not an attempt at me cozying up with the club. Maybe expecting favours from the club. I don't even think they know that I exist. I don't have that power. Uh, and I have been critical, and I've been a little bit critical in this podcast, so it's not as if I'm like some kind of like I'm becoming like a Blazer type or anything. We used to hear that back in the day when the fans owned the club. We used to hear stuff about like the Blazers, the supporters association Blazers and things. I don't think it was very helpful, rhetoric, but I'm not. I just want to be positive. I don't want to come across as being one of those stereotypical Dundee fans who's like constantly negative. I don't want that. It's not good to be always negative, even though Dundee fans have a right to be negative in a way because we've suffered so much. We've had to rescue the club twice, and even before that, we were close to being out of business. We've had to deal with like relegation, like years in the second tier, like failing to get up. All these false dawns with the Mars, the Benettis, and then I was like Cal Melville came in. The infamous Cal Melville, who turned out to be a fraud. Missing out when we were, I think, at one point 11 points ahead of Inverness in the league. Even though we had a very, very good team, that it's like Jockey Scott signed all the best players in the first division. Guy Harkins, Lee Griffiths, all of them. Like Richie Hart and Pat Clark and Sean Higgins, Brian Kerr. I remember that team well. So yeah, we've had so many false dawns, and when United got relegated and we were still, in the top tier, but they were down, I thought, oh, this is the perfect opportunity to really overtake United and get fans, young fans coming to us. But it never happened. We ended up getting relegated because, just really bad managerial appointments and awful recruitment. I just want to praise Nelms. He deserves that, and he is committed. And things are looking up, so I hope you enjoy this podcast. Thank you. Have a nice day wherever you are. Away to these.